Okay, so this time we're going to be starting on the exhaust manifold. I decided the one that we made in the past just isn't going to fit now that we have the new oil pan. The engine's a little more tilted. So what I did here is I have a flange and a manifold kit with some assembly required, and we're just going to have to make one fit that kind of exits back here and clears everything in here. We have plenty of space. There's just nothing made that fits the space that we have, so we're going to have to make something. So what I did was I just ordered a kit of Mandrel Bends. See, it's 1 3/4, which is what the flange is that we ordered. Various bends, a lot of options. You see a 180 there, almost a full 180. Just random kit. So we'll just be able to cut these up and use them as needed, and hopefully end up with a somewhat decently functioning exhaust manifold. All the factory ones, pairs 2 and 3 and 1 and 4, so I'm just going to mimic that. And my plan is to go with a tri-Y, so I'm going to have these two come together right off the manifold or shortly off and try and pair it with how long those two come together. And then they'll kind of move over here somehow, and then come the two pipes then will come into one down here. And I plan on having a 2.5 inch collector. And then we can just run 2.5 inch out the rest of the way to the back. So again, don't really have a solid plan. We're just going to kind of wing it, see how it goes, and hopefully it goes well. Alright, so found two pretty matching bends and then just kind of lined them up, marked them. If you don't have a big chop saw or something, using tape is a pretty easy way to get a nice straight line all the way around to cut off of, especially if you're using a death wheel. So just kind of keep that in mind. So we're going to get these two cut off, and then they're for cylinders 2 and 3. Get them on there and just kind of eyeball it and just start from there. Okay, got the cylinder 3 pipe, got it cut on its outer edge, and got everything tacked in place. Well, these pieces. And you can see if I shove the light in the end here, I got pretty close to having a smooth transition all the way around. I did my best. I left just a little bit in this curve here to help try and direct this cylinder's exhaust gases this way instead of having it just come out and hit that wall flat, which probably not going to do anything, but it makes me feel better. And my thinking is, if I remember right, there should be like a slightly low pressure zone in here, since it wants to flow on the outside of the bend. It's going to be a high pressure zone, which will mean that little bit sticking, it's probably about here, won't affect the flow of cylinder 2 very much. So, well, I hope, because I'm not an engineer. Okay, as you can see, I got a little turn down for number 4. My plan is to use this little guy there to just kind of straighten it out a little bit. And then once I get it straightened out, I can take my 180 I have here, and then it'll end up somewhere in there like so. I'll try and tuck them up so they're right next to each other like that. Okay, so got the rest of the primary runner for cylinder 4 done here. The bend wasn't tight enough, so I ended up having to cut it and then just shaving some metal off of each of those, so that way each piece is to make a tighter bend, and I went just a little bit too far. but it's fine. And I can't tack this on to the flange until I have this welded all the way around, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. And then I was just realizing alternator goes here. I have to worry about alternator clearance and stuck the pipe in there to, you know, just get a straight shot out. And we got almost plenty. It should work well enough. I'm also probably gonna have this bent off from here, probably come out and then have a straight pipe going like that. So that'll give us even more clearance because it'll be something kind of closer to so. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there because the connector is going to be sticking straight up. But I mean, obviously it's just a wire, so you can kind of like route it whichever way you need to. So I got it all kind of burned in place, tacked this here just in case I want to start over. Doubt I will, but anyway. Kind of decided a final plan for cylinder 1. I'm going to take this pipe here and I'm going to cut on that side of the tape so that way it basically comes out kind of like so. And then on the pipe here I'll probably cut it whatever makes sense there, and then end up having to make a little straight extension, probably use a piece of that just to kind of fill the gap. I got two options where it comes straight out and then curve, or curve and then kind of come straight. And I want to maximize my clearance over here and keep the heat away from the alternator because it's already going to be nice and close, so no point in making it closer than it has to be. And I warped my flange a lot because I wasn't being careful enough with the heat here. So I'm gonna have to get it resurfaced before it's ready to go. But besides that, it's all ugly and I have a couple of leaks, but everything's either fine or fixable. So we'll just carry on, and it's gonna end up painted when we're done anyway. So we're just gonna get this cut and fitted, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so you can see got our little bend cut. And it's little, but then this will come off of there, kind of like so. Ooh. And I mean, with this, what I did was I just kind of like held up the pipe when it was full, kind of like so. And then kind of matched the bottom up and just kind of eyeballed it. And then I took my scribe and just kind of outlined the pipe I was trying to cut around. So just kind of like around here. And ended up with a shape that was very rough compared to that. And then it's just, you know, test, cut and fit, cut and fit, cut and fit, until finally it just sits on there pretty nicely. So let me get that lined back up. So have a minimal gap all the way around. The camera makes it look a little bit bigger than it is. And then after that, went through and traced it, so that way now I have an idea of what I need to cut out for it to match together. Alright, got it back installed, and have my cylinder 1 pipe coming in. Not super pretty, but you know, it gets the job done and it should flow good enough. Again, we're not going for perfect, we're going for functional. So this part's all done, and just kind of putting a plan together for how we're going to proceed. And I think what we're going to do is, well, first of all, these are already a little bit longer, this cylinder 1 and 4, which loops under, than 2 and 3, if you can't just tell. And to try and compensate for that, what I want to do is probably going to cut this off right about here, and then take this piece of pipe that has a gentle angle to it, and probably end up with it somewhere in there, kind of like so, which will put this piece right about here. And then I'm going to take that and just try and get a straight shot as possible down to the bottom where I'm going to have my 2.5 inch collector. And then because this is going out and down, and then this is taking the hypotenuse, it should end up being a little bit shorter than this one and hopefully get closer to equal. So it doesn't have to be exactly equal, because that's what Subarus do. That's what gives them their sound, is unequal length headers, but I don't want it to sound like a Subaru. Alright, so as you can see, I got my cut here, and then just kind of got a small angle, because these two were going to hit each other if I didn't have a small bend in here. So put one there, and then it takes a 90, well, it's actually just a little bit shy of 90, it's like 80 degrees, but went ahead and took that straight down. And then once I had that in place, I took a pipe here and then brought it down. And then right here, there's actually another, you can kind of tell it's just a slight little like jog over to the side to get closer there, where I had these two pipes come together, and they're actually cut flush at the bottom, so that way they fit nicely into my collector here, which is 2.5 inch with a 90, which will go down and then point towards the back. And that's where I'm going to stop with the exhaust and let my exhaust guy take over once I'm done. I'll drive it in like this and then just let him run it out the back from there. So what I'm going to do now is pull the header back off, take my, let's see if we can get down in there. Yeah, take that and then just weld it in there. I might tack it in, actually not might, I will tack it in place on the truck just to make sure everything's going to line up how I need it to. And that's what it looks like installed. So we're all done. Just got to get that main flange resurfaced so that way it seats nicely. You can actually see how bad it's warped here. And then it's sitting flush in the middle. And then out here, it's bowed out just a hair also. So got to get that resurfaced, but that's installed. It fits barely, but that's perfect. Little bit of light right down here between the transmission and whatnot, but yeah, next time we'll either be doing the radiator, well, we will be doing the radiator. Either I'm going to try and make the stock one fit if I can find a different belt tensioner down there. Or I might be pulling one out of like a mid-2000s Honda Civic, because it looks like that'll fit pretty well as well. But we'll just cross that bridge when we get there, and thanks for watching.